You won't believe how far some people will go to pull off a scam. These aren't your average phishing attempts. These are masterclasses in manipulation and audacity. Some con artists built entire empires on lies, convincing smart people to hand over millions for things that never existed. Today we're diving into the wildest scams that actually worked, and what we can learn from them. Get ready, because we're about to explore 5 of the most unbelievable cons ever conceived. We're talking about selling national monuments, rigging nationwide competitions, and even faking a war with giant birds. Let's get into it. First up, the Great Emu War Investment Scam. A scam so bizarre it sounds like a joke. Scammers built fake websites and documents claiming Australia was secretly fighting a second emu war and needed investors for a covert culling operation. They referenced the real 1932 Emu War to make it believable, even sending out fake government reports and doctored photos. The pitch? Invest in their emu eradication task force, supposedly contracted by the government. Investors received fake updates about missions and successes, feeling like insiders in a top-secret operation. In reality, there was no war, no contracts, just money flowing into the scammers' pockets. The scam unraveled when investors got suspicious and contacted real Australian authorities. The fallout was huge, people lost fortunes and the scammers faced jail. The lesson? If an investment sounds too secret or too wild, it's probably a scam. Always verify, never just trust a good story. Faking a war with emus? Criminal genius, but a cautionary tale. In the world of audacious scams and elaborate deceptions, some stories stand out for their sheer audacity. Get ready to meet a man who spun a web of lies so convincing, it ensnared some of the wealthiest individuals and businesses. Next, meet Anthony Gignac. He was a master of illusion, a chameleon of charisma, the man who convinced the world he was a Saudi prince. Or so he claimed. He crafted an identity so meticulously, so convincingly royal that people were willing to hand over fortunes based on his word. Gignac lived like royalty, or at least what people imagined royalty to be. He wasn't just pretending, he was embodying the lifestyle, immersing himself in the trappings of unimaginable wealth. He was driving Ferraris, plural, not just owning them, but flaunting them, showcasing a collection that would make even seasoned car enthusiasts envious. He was wearing designer clothes, head to toe, the kind of attire that screamed success and status, meticulously curated to project an image of impeccable taste and limitless resources, and demanding to be called Your Highness. It wasn't a request, it was an expectation, a subtle yet powerful assertion of his fabricated authority. He expected to be treated with deference, with the kind of respect reserved for true royalty. His scam? What was the secret to his success, the key to unlocking the vaults of the wealthy? It was all about convincing wealthy people to invest in his vision, his promises, his carefully constructed facade of legitimacy. He preyed on their ambition, their desire to be part of something exclusive, something profitable. He lured them in with fake business deals, opportunities that seemed too good to be true, ventures that promised astronomical returns with minimal risk. Of course, the reality was far different. He used forged documents meticulously crafted to appear authentic, complete with official-looking seals and signatures. These weren't just simple forgeries, they were works of art, designed to withstand scrutiny and instill confidence, and a lavish lifestyle as proof. His opulent spending wasn't just for personal enjoyment, it was a crucial part of the con, a way to demonstrate his supposed wealth and influence. He needed to the part. He even demanded expensive gifts. As a cultural tradition, a seemingly innocent request that served to further solidify his princely persona and test the boundaries of his victims' willingness to believe. Before doing business. It was a calculated move designed to create a sense of obligation and exclusivity, making his targets feel privileged to be in his presence. Over years, this elaborate charade continued, growing more audacious and more profitable with each passing day. He scammed more than $8 million, amassing a fortune built on lies and deceit, a testament to his manipulative skills and the power of illusion. He was using social media to bolster his fake persona, curating a digital image of wealth and influence that reinforced his claims of royalty. Every post, every photo was carefully crafted to perpetuate the lie. But what brought about his downfall? What was the crack in his carefully constructed facade that ultimately led to his undoing? It started when a hotel owner noticed him eating pork, something a real Saudi prince would never do. A seemingly insignificant detail, but one that planted a seed of doubt in the hotel owner's mind. That seed of doubt led to a private investigator, who uncovered his true identity, peeling back the layers of deception to reveal the truth beneath. He was not royalty, but a career con artist from Michigan, a man with a history of fraud and a talent for manipulation. The FBI found fake IDs, a collection of aliases and fabricated identities, each designed to further his deception. Luxury goods, the spoils of his elaborate con, a tangible representation of his ill-gotten gains, and evidence of years of fraud, a mountain of paperwork and digital data that painted a clear picture of his criminal enterprise. Gignac was sentenced to 18 years in prison, a fitting punishment for his audacious crimes and the countless lives he had impacted. The lesson? What can we learn from this incredible story of deception and greed? Don't trust appearances. In a world of carefully curated images and manufactured realities, it's more important than ever to look beyond the surface, or flashy lifestyles. True wealth often speaks softly, not through ostentatious displays of extravagance. Always verify who you're dealing with. Due diligence is not just a business term, it's a vital life skill. In the age of social media, anyone can fake a persona. The internet has made it easier than ever to create a false identity and deceive others. Always dig deeper before you invest. Your financial security depends on your ability to discern truth from fiction. Remember McDonald's monopoly? That magical time when a trip to the Golden Arches could potentially make you a millionaire? The anticipation, the thrill of peeling back those game pieces, hoping to find a rare property that would complete your set. It was a cultural phenomenon, a nationwide obsession fueled by the promise of instant riches with every burger and fries. For 12 years, from 1989 all the way to 2001, this game captivated the nation. Millions participated, dreaming of vacations, new cars, and even $1 million jackpot. It became a part of the American experience, a shared cultural moment that brought families and friends together, all united by the simple joy of playing and the tantalizing possibility of winning big. But behind the colorful game pieces and the cheerful marketing, it was rigged from the inside. Unbeknownst to the millions of players diligently collecting properties, the game was compromised, the odds unfairly stacked against them. The dream of winning was, for many, just that, a dream, carefully orchestrated and manipulated by a select few. The mastermind behind this audacious scheme was Jerome "Uncle Jerry" Jacobson, a seemingly ordinary man with an extraordinary ability to deceive. As the head of security for the game, Jacobson held a position of immense trust and responsibility. He was the gatekeeper, the guardian of the integrity of the McDonald's monopoly promotion. He was entrusted with ensuring fair play and protecting the interests of both the company and its customers. But instead of upholding his duty, he abused his power and stole winning pieces, carefully selecting the most valuable properties and prizes for his own personal gain. He saw an opportunity and seized it, setting in motion a chain of events that would ultimately unravel the entire game. He didn't act alone. Uncle Jerry sold them to a network of fake winners, creating a complex web of deceit that spanned across the country. This wasn't just a simple act of theft, it was a carefully orchestrated conspiracy involving dozens of individuals, all working together to defraud McDonald's and its customers. Mobsters, psychics, individuals from all walks of life, each with their own motivations and desires, were drawn into Jacobson's orbit. And everyday people were recruited, tempted by the allure of easy money and the promise of a life-changing windfall. They were ordinary individuals, perhaps struggling to make ends meet, who saw this as a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to escape their financial woes. They were coached to claim prizes and split the winnings, perpetuating the fraud and enriching themselves at the expense of honest players. The scheme was designed to ensure that no one person attracted too much attention, spreading the wealth and minimizing the risk of detection. Nearly every major prize, from cars and cash to dream vacations, from 1989 to 2001, was tainted by this elaborate scheme. The integrity of the game was completely compromised, leaving countless players feeling cheated and disillusioned. In total, it was part of this staggering $24 million scam, a testament to the greed and audacity of those involved. The operation was so elaborate, so meticulously planned and executed, winners were coached, meticulously prepared for their moment in the spotlight. They were given specific instructions on what to say and how to act, ensuring that their stories aligned and that they wouldn't raise any suspicion. Every detail was carefully considered, every potential risk mitigated, but eventually the FBI finally caught on, thanks to a stroke of luck and the persistence of a few dedicated agents. It all started with an anonymous tip, a single phone call that would unravel the entire conspiracy. This led to the launch of Operation Final Answer, a full-scale federal investigation aimed at uncovering the truth behind the McDonald's monopoly scam. Wiretaps, surveillance, and undercover operations were deployed to gather evidence and track the movements of the suspected individuals. And, in a daring move, a staged commercial was created, designed to lure the perpetrators out into the open. This elaborate sting operation ultimately led to the arrest of Uncle Jerry, the mastermind behind it all, and over 50 others, bringing an end to one of the most audacious and long-running scams in corporate history. The scam exposed a deep-seated vulnerability in the system and how one insider, entrusted with protecting the integrity of the game, can corrupt an entire system from within. For McDonald's, it was a PR disaster, a major blow to their reputation and a challenge to regain the trust of their customers. But for the rest of us, it was a wild story about trust, greed, and the lengths people will go to for a chance at fortune. The lesson: even the most innocent games, the ones we play with our families and friends, can be manipulated from within, highlighting the importance of vigilance and critical thinking. Always question systems, especially those that seem too good to be true. Because sometimes they are. Sometimes the biggest threat, the one that can cause the most damage, is on the inside, lurking in the shadows, waiting for the opportune moment to strike. And yes, your fries, that salty, golden treat that you craved, never stood a chance of winning you that $1 million. You've heard of the Nigerian prince scam, but have you heard of the Nigerian astronaut scam? In the early 2000s, emails claimed a Nigerian astronaut was stranded in space, needing millions for a rescue mission. The story: Major Abacha Tundi, stuck in orbit since 1979, had $15 million in back pay waiting, if only you'd help transfer it. The scammer promised a huge reward for your help, just needing your bank details. The tale was so absurd, some people believed it. Proof that the bigger the lie, the more likely it is to slip past skepticism. There was no astronaut, no fortune, and no rescue mission. But the scam worked by making victims feel like heroes in a secret operation. The lesson: if a story sounds like a bad sci-fi movie, it's probably a scam. Scammers use wild stories to cloud your judgment. Always pause and question before you act. In the annals of audacious scams, where trickery meets audacity and deception dances with daring, one story stands head and shoulders above the rest. A tale so unbelievable, so brazen, that it continues to captivate and astound even decades later. The mastermind behind this incredible feat of deception? Victor Lustig, a name synonymous with charm, cunning, and an unparalleled ability to separate fools from their money. Victor Lustig, a con artist of extraordinary talent, achieved the impossible. He sold the Eiffel Tower, not once, but twice. A feat so audacious it borders on the unbelievable. The year was 1925. Paris, still basking in the afterglow of the Roaring Twenties, was a city of dreams, a beacon of art, culture, and opportunity. For a con man like Lustig, it was the perfect stage for his grandest performance. To set his plan in motion, Lustig meticulously forged official government documents. These weren't just sloppy imitations, they were crafted with an eye for detail, bearing official seals and letterheads that would fool even the most discerning eye. He understood that the key to a successful con was believability, and these documents were his golden ticket. With his forged documents in hand, Lustig extended invitations to the city's top scrap metal dealers. These were men who knew the value of metal, men who understood the intricacies of industry, men who thought they were too clever to be fooled. Lustig was about to prove them wrong. He lured them to a discreet, secret meeting, adding an air of exclusivity and importance to the proceedings. The location was carefully chosen, a private room in a respectable hotel, far from prying eyes and potential skeptics. There, with a straight face and an air of officialdom, he claimed that the city was secretly planning to sell the Eiffel Tower for scrap. He presented it as a confidential matter, a decision made at the highest levels of government, shrouded in secrecy to avoid public outcry. He justified the decision by citing the exorbitant maintenance costs associated with the aging structure. He painted a picture of a city burdened by the tower's upkeep, desperate to unload the financial burden. To further solidify his deception, Lustig conducted private tours of the Eiffel Tower for the prospective buyers. He pointed out areas of disrepair, exaggerating the extent of the damage and emphasizing the urgency of the situation. He masterfully played the dealers against each other, fueling their competitive spirits and creating a sense of urgency. Each dealer believed they were on the verge of securing a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, unaware that they were all being manipulated. And with a subtle wink and a knowing glance, he hinted at needing a little incentive, a small bribe to ensure the deal went through smoothly. He knew that a little corruption could go a long way in sealing the deal. One particularly eager and perhaps naive dealer, a man named André Poisson, found himself completely captivated by Lustig's scheme. He was desperate to secure the deal, seeing it as his ticket to untold riches and prestige. Poisson, blinded by greed and the allure of the deal, willingly paid both the requested bribe, a hefty sum that lined Lustig's pockets quite nicely, and of course the agreed-upon purchase price for the Eiffel Tower itself. He handed over a fortune, believing he was about to become the owner of one of the world's most iconic landmarks. With the cash safely in hand, Lustig wasted no time in making his escape. He vanished into the Parisian night, leaving Poisson to eagerly await the dismantling of his newly acquired scrap metal. It wasn't long before Poisson realized he'd been thoroughly conned, that he had fallen victim to one of the most audacious scams in history. The Eiffel Tower wasn't his, and his money was gone. But alas, Poisson was far too embarrassed and humiliated to go to the police and admit he'd been duped into trying to buy the Eiffel Tower. His pride, it seemed, was more valuable than his money. Incredibly emboldened by his success, Lustig, with a devil-may-care attitude, actually returned to Paris, and, with breathtaking audacity, attempted to pull the same scam again, targeting a new group of unsuspecting scrap metal dealers. The second time around, however, things didn't go quite as smoothly. This time the victim, perhaps less concerned with his reputation or simply more outraged by the deception, decided to go to the police and report the crime. But Lustig, ever the slippery character, managed to evade capture and escape to the United States, leaving a trail of bewildered and embarrassed businessmen in his wake. While he managed to avoid immediate repercussions for his Eiffel Tower escapades, Lustig's luck eventually ran out. He was eventually apprehended, not for selling national monuments but for a far more mundane crime, counterfeiting. Despite his eventual downfall, his audacious Eiffel Tower scam remains legendary, a testament to the power of persuasion, the allure of greed, and the sheer audacity of the human spirit. So, what's the lesson we can glean from this incredible story? It's a stark reminder that con artists are masters of manipulation, preying on our vulnerabilities and exploiting our deepest desires. They exploit our greed, the insatiable hunger for wealth and success. They prey on our pride, the inflated sense of self-importance that makes us believe we're too clever to be fooled. And they capitalize on our desire for secret deals, the allure of insider information and exclusive opportunities that promise untold riches. So, the next time a deal feels too exclusive, too good to be true, or shrouded in unnecessary secrecy, remember the story of Victor Lustig and the Eiffel Tower, and beware. Because in the end, Lustig wasn't just selling a landmark, a physical structure of iron and steel. He was selling a fantasy, a dream of wealth, power, and exclusivity. He was selling an illusion, and people, blinded by their own desires, bought it, not just once, but twice, proving that sometimes the most unbelievable scams are the ones we're most willing to believe. From fake wars to selling the Eiffel Tower, these scams show just how creative and dangerous con artists can be. The core lesson? Question everything, especially when it sounds too good to be true. Do your own research, verify identities, and never let greed cloud your judgment. Scammers prey on trust, urgency, and our desire for a great deal. Stay sharp. Sometimes truth really is stranger than fiction. Which scam blew your mind the most? Let us know in the comments. And don't forget to subscribe for more unbelievable stories.